Imagine this, January 2026. One moment, you're focused on your future, building something new in a new country. The next, you're caught in the flashing lights of a police raid, your life turned upside down in an instant. This is the story of Paul, a man whose world was shattered not just by the legal system, but by a personal tragedy that struck when he was at his most vulnerable. After being swept up in a police raid targeting someone else, a woman named Amanda, Paul was thrown into a nightmare. He wasn't charged with her crimes, but he was trapped. The system saw him not as an individual, but as an extension of another's alleged offenses. He was released, but freedom was just an illusion. His new reality? Strict immigration bail. A GPS electronic monitoring tag was strapped to his ankle, a constant, physical reminder of his precarious situation. This wasn't just tracking, it was a digital leash. Several times a day, a notification would demand he confirm his location on his phone. A missed check-in could mean an arrest visit. The psychological pressure was immense, a daily test of compliance under the constant threat of arrest. The whole legal case hinged on one thing, proving Paul was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time, a victim of proximity to Amanda's activities. She faced serious charges, but Paul was innocent. The problem was, standard legal aid in the UK often doesn't cover these incredibly complex immigration disputes. It's a gap in the system, where people like Paul can easily fall through. Thankfully, a woman named Amara stepped in. She was a lifeline, helping Paul secure a specialist solicitor through something called Exceptional Case Funding, or ECF. This was his only real shot at a proper defense, a chance to have his voice heard in a system that seemed designed to keep him silent and invisible. The battle had just begun, but at least now, he had a fighting chance. Just as Paul was starting to navigate this legal labyrinth, the unthinkable happened. During his very first week on bail, he received news from home that would break any person. His parent had passed away. The grief was immediate and overwhelming, but it was a special kind of pain. It was what experts call migratory grief, the profound, isolating sorrow of mourning a loved one from thousands of miles away, separated by oceans and, in Paul's case, legal barriers. He couldn't go back. He couldn't say goodbye. He couldn't be with his family. The electronic tag on his ankle wasn't just a legal restraint. It was a chain holding him back from his duties as a son. For Paul, this wasn't just about missing a funeral. It was a deep cultural wound. In his culture, performing traditional burial rites is a cornerstone of identity, a final act of love and respect. Being unable to fulfill this duty was a violation of his very being. This cultural bereavement, this inability to mourn properly, compounded his trauma. The stress of the arrest and agony of his loss began to merge into one single, paralyzing weight. It's a condition recognized as prolonged grief disorder, where the natural process of mourning gets stuck, leaving you in a state of constant, acute pain. He was physically present in the UK, but his mind and soul were trapped in a cycle of grief and helplessness, a silent scream that no one around him could truly understand. The psychological pressure was crushing. Paul was experiencing what some mental health professionals call Ulysses syndrome. It's not a formal diagnosis, but it powerfully describes the unique, chronic stress faced by migrants dealing with multiple overwhelming challenges at once. Think about it: the fear of deportation, the grief for his parent, the isolation from his culture, the constant surveillance. It was a storm of stressors. To survive, Paul knew he needed help. He found it in a remarkable organization called the Black, African, and Asian Therapy Network, or BAATN. This wasn't just any therapy. BAATN provided culturally competent support, therapists who understood the specific nuances of his experience. They understood migratory grief. They understood the weight of cultural obligations. They gave him the tools to process his trauma, to navigate the complex emotions of mourning from afar, and to begin the long, slow process of healing. It was a critical step, not just for his legal case, but for his very survival. For a while, Paul was just surviving. He was following the rules, checking in on his phone, feeling the constant, the weight of the tag on his ankle. He was trapped in what he called the immigrantist crouch, that defensive posture you adopt when you feel powerless, when you're just trying to stay small and avoid trouble. But something shifted. The immense grief he felt for his parent didn't break him, it ignited something within him. It became a catalyst for change. He realized that merely surviving wasn't enough. It wasn't a tribute to the parent he had lost. To truly honor their memory, he had to fight back. He had to stand up. His new resolve was powerful. He and Amara started building his defense not just by proving his innocence, but by demonstrating his value. He gathered evidence of his work at Imperial College London, a project he was passionate about, and submitted it to the Home Office. This wasn't just a defense, it was a declaration. "I am not a criminal," it said. "I am a contributor. I am here to build, not to break." He was determined to clear his name and secure his future. He understood that his parents' sacrifice, all the struggles they went through to give him a better life, would mean nothing if he let this system crush him. He had to move beyond the crouch and stand tall. This transformation also sparked an incredible idea. Paul began channeling his struggle into something constructive. He started documenting his entire journey, the legal hurdles, the emotional turmoil, the daily anxieties of living under surveillance. He poured all of this into an app he was developing, which he called The Bridge. His vision was to turn his personal nightmare into a practical tool for others. The Bridge was designed to help people navigate the same hostile systems he was facing in 2026. It would be a resource, a guide, a community for those lost in the complex maze of immigration law and the emotional toll it takes. It was his way of ensuring that his pain wouldn't be wasted. It was his way of building a legacy of help and hope. As 2026 unfolds, Paul's story is far from over. He remains in this delicate, uncertain balance. Every day, he waits for the legal system to finally recognize the truth of his innocence. And every day, he carries the silent, heavy memory of the home he can no longer visit, the parent he can no longer embrace. His ankle still bears the electronic tag, a symbol of his legal limbo. But his spirit is no longer shackled. He is fighting, building, and creating, turning his personal tragedy into a beacon for others. His journey reminds us that even in the face of overwhelming adversity, you can find the strength not just to survive, but to build a new future and honor the past you can never forget. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that matters.